U.S. Megadrought threatens millions of people in the coming second half of 2022 from August to December because of the effects of climate change. Does the book of Revelation tell us about a supernatural drought that will be experienced by the Church of Rome? Kindly subscribe to Truth in Bible Prophecy. Stay tuned, friends, as I present to you Megadrought in Revelation 16. Revelation 16 verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, and the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Is there drying up of water, a mega drought, even in the book of Revelation? Bible prophecy reveals a supernatural drought that will be experienced by the Antichrist and Mother Babylon. Deadpool US Megadrought spells trouble at Hoover Dam. The extraordinary drought in the western half of the United States. According to the official US seasonal drought outlook, nearly 50% of the continental United States will either see drought conditions be rapid or intensify in the coming months from August to December. This is really troubling news because drought conditions are already having a dramatic impact on agricultural production. What population growth and the mega drought mean for US water supplies, as more than 125 million people, almost 40% of the US population, are currently under heat alerts due to unseasonably high temperatures and posing a direct threat to human health and survival. Many of the southwestern cities facing the worst dry spells, such as Las Vegas and Phoenix, also have some of the fastest growing population in the country. Millions of gallons of Colorado River water hurtle through the Hoover Dam every day, generating electricity for hundreds of thousands of homes. But the mega drought affecting the western United States is sending reservoir levels plummeting towards Deadpool, the point at which the dam can no longer produce power. BBCnews.com says, drought emergency declared in northern Italy. Italy has declared a state of emergency in 5 northern regions surrounding the Po River. The state of emergency is aimed at managing the current situation with extraordinary means and powers. If it does not rain, the situation is expected to worsen, just like in Southern California. CNBC, sweeping water restrictions begin in Southern California as drought worsens. Sweeping restriction on outdoor water use go into effect this July. California just adopted new, tougher water restrictions. Pope Francis says in Twitter, drought is a serious problem. It should make us reflect on the care of creation, which is not a fad. It is everyone's responsibility. The future of the earth is in our hands. That is when Climate Sunday comes to the forefront, that a mandatory day of rest should be urgently implemented for the sake of saving the environment. And all the world are in full support of this Laudato Si action plan. Would there be a spiritual drought, the drying up of waters in the book of Revelation? The 7 last plagues are poured exclusively upon those who have chosen to side with the satanic trinity and receive the mark of the beast. While the first 5 plagues are literal, the last 2 are clearly symbolic and spiritual. The 6th angel poured out his vial, the 6th plague upon Euphrates River, drying up its water to prepare the way for the kings from the east. In the Old Testament, the Euphrates was the boundary that separated Israel from its enemies, Assyria and Babylon. Isaiah 7 verse 20 and Jeremiah 26 verse 10. These enemies nations came against God's people from this great river. Their attacks are often compared to the overflowing waters of the Euphrates, sweeping over the land of Judah. Isaiah 8 verse 7 to 8. The Euphrates River flowed through Babylon and was important to the city city. It nourished crops and provided water for people. Without the Euphrates River, Babylon could not exist. Revelation 17 verse 1 to 2. And there came one of the seven angels which has the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will shew unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. With its historic Christian appearance, this end-time religious system becomes Satan's powerful tool to deceive and seduce the world into apostasy during the end-time crisis. Just as ancient Babylon was sustained by the Euphrates, so this end-time religious confederacy exists with the support of the civil, secular, and political world powers. At a certain point, however, the symbolic water supporting Babylon will somehow dry up. Biden delivers remarks on impact of drought and wildfires. NBC News.
In fact, the threat of western wildfires this year is as severe as it's ever been. And this year, there could be even tougher based on the weather patterns what they were last year. And right now, we're seeing record heat in Portland and across the West.
The Megadrought in the United States West has produced the region's driest 2 decades in at least 1,200 years. Households are now forbidden from watering their lawns and other more excessive water usage more than once a week in many jurisdictions. The goal is to slash water use by 35% as the state enters its 3rd straight year of drought. The amount of water we have available to us right now is not going to be enough to carry us throughout the entire year unless we do something different. If drought conditions grow even more severe, they could impose a full outdoor watering ban as soon as September. In the book of Daniel describes God's people when they were captives in Babylon in 539 BC. Cyrus the Great from Persia came with his armies and besieged the city. Because of Babylon's strong fortifications and abundant supply of water and food, the people felt that the city was impregnable. Ancient historian states that the Persians diverted the river Euphrates and entered the city through the dried riverbed, taking the city by surprise. Because of Babylon's overthrow, God's people were allowed to return to their homeland. The capture of ancient Babylon by Cyrus the Great is the background for the 6th plague scene. As in the case of ancient Babylon, so here the symbolic drought, the drying up of the Euphrates River, results in the collapse of end-time Babylon, the enemy of God and His people. While Babylon has all the nations behind itself, Revelation 18 verse 3, those powers will eventually withdraw their support and turn against Babylon, causing its fall. Revelation 17:15 to 17. This is how the Euphrates drying up should be understood. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot and make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh and burn her with fire. A question arises. Why do civil, secular, and political world powers have a sudden change in attitude toward Babylon and the papacy? Up to the 5th plague, the world's people have focused their hopes in Babylon for protection. As they experience the upheavals in nature, they hope that Babylon will protect them. However, as they observe the 5th plague striking the very seat of the beast's authority, the disillusioned people realize the impotence of Babylon to protect them from the plague's effect. Revelation 16 verse 10. Feeling deceived and filled with hostility, they are united as they turn against Babylon and destroy it. Revelation 17 verse 17. The reason for the Euphrates drying up in Revelation and the subsequent collapse of end-time Babylon is to prepare the way for the kings from the east, or from the rising of the sun. Who are the kings from the east? In this text, Revelation clearly shows that they are Christ and His army of saints. Engaged in the final battle, these will wage war against the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, because He is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with Him are the called and chosen and faithful. Revelation 17 verse 14. The world will flock and follow the papacy and the action plan Laudato Si. The majority will be behind the papacy, but the darkness on the very headquarters of the papacy, which is the fifth plague, will expose how helpless she is, and they will withdraw their support and turn against her. The book of Revelation shows us people that will receive the seal of God in their foreheads, those who are faithful to Jesus Christ and have endured until the end. He will dwell on the heights. His refuge will be rocky fortresses. His food provided, his water is assured. Isaiah 33 verse 16. Choose today whom you will serve. Kindly type in the comment section, I choose Jesus Christ. Kindly share this video, friend. And may we all continue to seek truth in Bible prophecy.